Sometimes you want to limit the options of data entry. Pretty often you want users to enter only a certain amount of numbers, or only text, or only a date. I know you have hit forms actually, where you were forced to enter just a date or just an integer numbers or just a limited amount of letters. In Excel, this is called data validation, and it's done by applying a drop-down list to the place you want the user to enter those data. We try now to apply this to the bonuses so that the teacher can only enter 3, 4, or 5 points. Not 1, not 10, 3, 4, or 5. It's a lot easier done than said, but anyway, the strategy is, well, first of all, you write down somewhere in the Excel these numbers, 3, 4, and 5. Then you select all these numbers and give them a name. Then you go to the cell when you want this list to be applied and do data validation there. Just follow me in the next slide with screen recording and narration. So what we want to do here is to allow only few numbers here, only 3, 4, or 5, not say 7 or 8, because that would change too much the semester average. We do this by defining this cell as a data validated drop-down list. A lot easier done than said. So first of all, we want to limit this to 3, 4, 5. We have to write down somewhere 3, 4, and 5. We use this cell here, bonuses option, which I have already formatted, and I write 3, 4, 4, 5, right? Next, this is the trick. I select this list and I give this list a name. I want this to be a named list. I go here in this cell here, that was already written, and I write down a name. I call it bonus list. Bonus list. Now, you may call it whatever you want. You may call it Mary, Antonio. No, it doesn't matter. As long as it has a name. It's a named list. It's much better so. Enter. At this point, see what happens. If I click on the number 3, on the cell reference area, I have L3, which is correct. If I press on number 4, I have L4. If I press 5, I have L5, because this is L cell number 5. It's a chance that these are also the numbers that I have written here. But if I select the whole range of data, then in this area, I have again the name of the range. So it's a named range. Next, here, this is the cell I want the data validation to be applied. And then I go into Data tab and check what data validation tool. Data validation, and then data validation again, opens a box and tells me that in this cell, at the moment, any value is allowed. And I need to change this selection here. I change to a certain amount of options. In this case, I write list. But this is also the place, should you want, you block people to write only a date, a time, a text of any length. In this case, we want the list. The source of the list, clicking here, it's the selection of the data range. And you see, the name is bonus list. Clicking OK, what happens is that where I have applied the data validation, this button appears. Clicking it, I had the numbers that I have selected. 3, and it changes from 77 to 80. 4, and it changes from 77 to 81. 5 and it changes from 77 to 82. So what is in here is numbers that are referred to in this list, and they are real numbers. They change the semester average and they change the grade of the student. When I apply the data validation in this cell, I also have the option of selecting special customized input messages or error alert. Input message is choose from a list. Input message, you can only enter selected values here. And perhaps the error message is stop, title, error. I just said you must only enter selected values. What is wrong with this? And again, okay? So when you go over the cell, you have the message, choose only from a list, you can only select their values here. Done. If you anyway want to write 7, enter, it gives you an error message. I just said you must only enter selected values. You got it or not? And so that's how it works. It's very good and simple things to use, especially when you really need to force the user to only enter, like in a form, only text, only date, only time, only a number. That's something I want you to apply to your gradebook in first and in second semester, now in class. 1, 2, stop. So explained in sequence what we have done in the recording of the screen slide before. To create a drop-down list from a range of cells, well, you first write down the cells, write down the numbers, input the list values, 3, 4, 5. Then you go in the top left corner, the cell reference area, and give it a name to that list. You have selected 3, 4, 5, the 3 cells, then you go up there and give a name to the list. This point, you go on the cell that you want to display the values. You go to the point where you want these values to appear, to the bonus grant. And there, click there, and then go on data validation, data menu, data tab, data validation menu, and choose data validation. Of the different data validation type, you can allow a list. Left, ignore blank and use cell drop down ticked. And then on the source field, select again 3, 4, 5, the range of data where the values are. It's as easy as that, and you can go back to the slide before and watch the recording of the screen again. Now, this is the first test you do on your own. It's something you have already done in this last couple of weeks tests, and it should be quite easy for you. Yet is a new thing. You take your gradebook spreadsheet, the one we've been working so far, you add a new sheet called year results. You see it at the bottom of this picture. In this picture, you see exactly what I want you to do. Do not copy these values. This will fail you badly. You have to do the formulas and you have to do the links. I think this is quite self-explanatory. You had the third sheet called year. You use references to the first and second semester to compile column A with the names, column B with the first semester grades, and column C with the second semester grade. At that point, column D, you calculate equal average of first and second semester of the two cells on the left. And then, using the VLOOKUP function, a little bit more complicated than it was before, you fill the letter grades using the table which you see on the top right corner. That should be absolutely easy for you. You have already practiced this in class, and go ahead.